أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope all of you are doing great and have been following the lessons that I have been uploading for the past few days. In today's lesson, we are going to continue our study on gender. And in the previous one, we have studied how we can determine the gender of an ism, and we learned that there are 4 ways of doing so. And today we are going to do the next part of this lesson of this topic, which is converting a masculine ism to its feminine counterpart. Uh, it's a very simple concept, all right, and of course, the more you practice with it, the better you'll get at it, inshallah. So before we begin, let's ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us out. So Rabbi Yassir, wala tu'assir, wa tammim bil khair. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Alright. So, as always, I'm going to begin with an overview. Uh, so, let's study this word, Salihun. It means, it roughly translates to pious. Okay, so a pious male. So, right now I'm telling you that its dictionary meaning is a pious male, alright, so we know that it is masculine. Now we need to turn it into, and we know that this is an adjective, okay. Usually this conversion is actually applied on the adjectives, alright, so that's why you're going to come across many adjectives to convert these asma. Alright, so Salihun means a pious male or a pious masculine ism. So if you need to convert it to a feminine part, its final form is salihatun. Now it is a fairly common adjective, a common ism, and we know we are familiar with this ism. All right, so it's going to be easy to understand it, inshallah. So our feminine counterpart of salihun is salihatun. Now, what difference do you note over here? You note that this last letter becomes the second last letter, alright, and its harkat has been changed from tanween to it has become a fatha, alright, and you see that there has been an addition of a suffix that bears the same Arab tanween that the original ism was bearing. Okay, so salihun becomes salihatun. Alright, that's what we can make out. Similarly, we can see that as-salihu, if it is, now this was in nakra form because of this tanween and absence of alif lam, alright, and the other 5 ways. And over here we can see that it is mu'arraf bil lam, alright, so it is marfa, right, so there is no tanween. How do we make this into feminine? We simply do the following, alright, so we have as-salihu here, so we'll get as-salihatu over here. What are we noticing? The harkat of the last letter has been changed from hu or from dhamma to fatha, and the addition of suffix over here has taken place, alright, and this suffix bears the same arab and the same tanween and the same harkat as the original ism was bearing. Okay, so how does this come to pass? That's we are going to study, and we're going to study loads of examples in this lesson, inshallah. So let's begin. The first step is, first of all, to replace the last letter's harkat with fatha. Okay, so if we study this ism katibun, now katibun means a writer or someone, a male, a masculine who writes. So a writer, you could say, alright, so someone who writes. Katibun, what do we notice here? We notice that the last letter here is ba, and it bears the tanween of un, so it is rafa. Then we see that it is nakra, okay, nakra, and we see that it is its last letter is ba. Now what do we do in the first step? Its last letter's harakat is replaced with fatha. So here we are. Katibun becomes katiba. Alright, over here. What's the next step? In the next step, we add the suffix of round ta, which, by the way, you already know by now is one of the three flags of feminine of a feminine gender. So we got kadiba in the first step. What's the second step? Add the suffix of round ta or ta marbuta. So there we are. We added this. Okay. So katiba is this word, alright, this portion of the word, and this is the addition of round ta. Alright, so katibun, first step becomes katiba, and then in second step it becomes katiba with addition of this round ta. Last step and the most important of all, decide the appropriate harakat for the suffix. Now, this is where it's going to demand some more attention from you guys, so let's get on to it. Here we have katibun. We know that it is rafa and it is nakra. Our final word is here, katiba with addition of round ta. Now we need to decide the harakat for this suffix. Number one, what's the arab? It's rafa, so it's going to be rafa too. And secondly, if this word is nakra, then you're going to add tanween, and if it is mu'arraf bil lam, then simply we are going to add a single harakat. Okay, this is something that we have learned in the previous week's lessons. So now it is going to come into play. We are going to apply all this knowledge now. Okay, so since this was rafa and nakra, we are simply going to decide with the double dhamma, because double dhamma is your sound, which is the rafa, and of course being tanween, it shows that the ism is nakra. Therefore we get the word katibatun from the word katibun. Okay, now this is the extra step that we're going to practice with for a couple of asma, and then we are going to stop making this step and we are going to jump directly from this word to this word. All right, inshallah. So I hope this conversion is clear. Let's study a couple more examples. Now ja'ilun, now I haven't mentioned its ending sound. Okay, that is because I want to explain something. What? First of all, if we have ja'ilun, as we have practiced with, as we have learned the two steps with, then if we have ja'ilun, all right, then this becomes, first of all, the last letter bears a fatha as here. Okay, so it's become jaila, and then the addition of this suffix, the round ta, and it bears the same tanween, and it bears uh, the same tanween of the same Arab. All right, so we have ja'ilatun because it's rafa, and this one's rafa too, so it becomes ja'ilatun. Alternatively, if for example this word were ja'ilan, nasab form, okay, then it would have been ja'ila tan. Why so? Because this ism is nasab and it's nakra, therefore it becomes nasab and it becomes nakra because of tanween. So ja'ilan becomes ja'ilatan. Jail, by the way, means the one who makes something. Okay, so jailun is a masculine who makes something. So now, all right, and similarly, if we have jailin, all right, the jar form and the nakra form, then of course it's going to become jailatin because the last letter always bears this fatha, and the suffix gets a different the harakat. All right, so it could be, I mean, it could, it's not necessary that it has to carry some some tanween, or it has to carry some fatha, or only dama. I mean, its harkat is not predefined. It's only the harkat of this last letter, all right, which is the last root letter. So it's the harkat of this last root letter that is predefined, and it is always fatha. But the harkat of the suffix is never predefined. It is always according to the context, all right, and according to this previous this original ism. So if it is ja'ilin, then it becomes ja'ilatin. All right, let's see a couple of marfa or mu'arraf bil lam examples. So al ja'ilu, it is rafa because of this wow. I'm sorry, because of this pesh. And then we also know that it is marfa because of it mu'arraf bil lam. All right, so al ja'ilu becomes al ja'ila tu. All right, why so? Because the harkat of the last root letter is predefined. It is always fatha, and the suffix gets added with the harkat which is corresponding to your original ism. Okay, so al ja'ilatu, because it is rafa form, so al ja'ilu and al ja'ilatu. Next, if it is al ja'ila in nasab form, then of course the last root letter is going to carry a fatha, which it does, and the suffix is going to be in nasab form. Therefore, it's going to bear what? A fatha. All right, and since it is mu'arraf bil lam, it's going to carry a what? It's going to carry a single harkat and not a tanween. Okay, so it's going to be al ja'ilata, a feminine that makes or who makes. All right, so finally, if it is al ja'ili in jar form, of course you should be able to tell me by now that this should be al ja'ilati. All right, so I hope these things are clear to you, and if of course there is any problem, any confusion, you can always contact and ask for more elaboration. Now let's study some more examples. So first of all, we have hafizun, rafa and carrying a tanween, therefore we know that it is nakra. So hafizun first becomes hafiza because the last root letter carries fatha, and then hafiza tun. Why tun? Because it is nakra and rafa. All right, next as-sadiqu. So it is marfa, mu'arraf bil lam, and it is rafa. All right, because of this pesh. So as-sadiqu becomes first as-sadiqa, and then as-sadiqa tu. Why two? Because well, it is mu'arraf bil lam, number one, and number two, it is going to be rafa. So the suffix bears simple a single harkat of pesh. Okay, so as-sadiqu becomes as-sadiqa and then as-sadiqatu. Next, we have al-mu'allima. Mu'allim means a teacher. So mu'allima is your a masculine teacher, all right? So a male teacher. So al-mu'allima. So here we have the male teacher because of mu'arraf bil lam, and it is in nasab form because of this fatha. So al-mu'allima, it first becomes al-mu'allima because the last letter carries a fatha, and then al-mu'allima ta. All right, and why ta? Because first of all it is mu'arraf bil lam, and secondly it is in nasab configuration. So al-mu'allimata, al-mu'allima, al-mu'allima, al-mu'allimata. All right, next we have mu'allimin. Now this is nakra and it is in jar configuration. So mu'allimin first becomes mu'allima. Why so? Because the last root letter always carries a fatha, and then in the next step we have mu'allima tin. Why tin? because this thing here is nakra and it is in jar. Therefore, this thing should also be in nakra and in jar. So mu'allima then. Now, last four examples. The word Muslimun, a male. Now, to Muslimun, it means the one who submits. Okay, so it's the masculine part. So it's a male who submits. Okay, or a masculine who submits. Muslimun. Now it is Rafa and it is Nakra. So first it becomes Muslima and then it becomes Muslimatun. And why Muslimatun? Because it should be Nakra and it should be in Rafa form. So Muslimun becomes Muslimatun. Alright. Now let's start jumping. So Al-Hafizi. It is Marfa due to Marafilam and it is in jar form due to this Zir. So Al-Hafizi. So it becomes Al-Hafizati. Alright, and why so? Because it should be in Maraf Bilam configuration, alright, so it should not have a tanween, and being in jar form, it should be, it should be carrying a zir, single zir. So Al-Hafizi becomes Al-Hafizati. Alright, next we have Sadiqan. It is in nasab form and it is nakra. So let's jump to this part already. So it should be Sadiqatan. Why so? Because I hope you're saying that the last root letter carries a fatha and the suffix carries a tanween of nasab form, because this word is nakra and carries a tanween of nasab form. So sadiqa tan. Finally, we have al-muslima, which is marfa, maraf bilam, and in nasab form, so it becomes al-muslimata. Alright, because this last root letter is going to carry fatha, as always, predestined, no changes ever. And finally, our suffix is going to be in nasab form and in single harakat form because it is maruf bil-lam. So al-muslima becomes al-muslimata. Alright, I hope these examples are clear to you, and in the next video we are going to do these examples. Okay.